So Ange Postecoglou delivered Tottenham Hotspur their first trophy in 17 years, our first European trophy in 41 years, and was sacked just 16 days after that glory night in Bilbao. Hi everyone, hope you're well. My name is Chris Cowlin and this is another episode of Spurs in the Media, where I'll be going through all of today's newspapers, looking at all of the headlines and the reports from today's national press concerning Ange Postecoglou's sacking just 16 days after he guided Spurs to European success, only the third manager to do so in our history, rubbing shoulders with Bill Nicholson and Keith Birkinshaw. Now, please do let me know how you are feeling right now as a Tottenham Hotspur fan with Ange Postecoglou being sacked and Spurs are now lining up either Thomas Frank or Marco Silva, both of them with Premier League experience. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. So I thought this episode was very important to record because there's a lot of really good stuff in these newspaper articles today about the sacking of Ange Postecoglou. And of course, the people that have written these articles are the people that Ange Postecoglou usually sits in front of when he does his pre-match and post-match press conferences. Now, I'm going to start with a report from the Times newspaper, and on the front of their sports supplement page, it says, "It used to be about glory. Tottenham brutally sack Postecoglou despite ending 17-year trophy drought. Frank leading contender to take over, but Spurs must pay Brentford £10 million. It then goes on to say that Tottenham Hotspur have sacked Ange Postecoglou as head coach despite the club winning the Europa League. Also in this report, it says the club said in a statement that it was one of the toughest decisions we have had to make, but that despite Postecoglou 59 ending Tottenham's 17-year trophy drought with victory over Manchester United in Bilbao last month, the decision could not be based on emotions, with Spurs having finished 17th in the Premier League." Now, the Times newspaper have also published this double-page spread inside, and it says here, he ended the 17-year wait, then didn't even last 17 days. Tottenham target Frank, the polar opposite of Ange. It then goes on to say here, so there will not be a third season of the Ange show after all. Now, also from the Times newspaper, it's got another double-page spread that they've published today. And it says here, Ange lived on the edge. Failure to listen pushed him over the edge. And then it's got these subheadings. We've got injuries. It then goes on to say that ultimately injuries destroyed Ange Postecoglou's time at Tottenham. In his first season, they lost Mickey van der Ven, James Maddison, Rodrigo Bentancur in November, and never really recovered. In his second season, they never had fewer injuries than 5 players out from November to February. In January, that number climbed to 12. It then says here, the ultimate storyteller. In the afterglow of Tottenham's Europa League success, Postecoglou was particularly hard to let go at his best. He was a blockbuster coach. It then says here, confrontation and contradiction. It says, yet Postecoglou was often too outspoken and the club grew wary of some of his needless confrontations. We're now going to look at the back page of the Daily Express today, and it says here, outpost. Europa League glory will live with me for a lifetime, says Big Ange after sacking. Ange Postecoglou was sacked last night and Tottenham will have to pay £10 million to get number one target Thomas Frank. Chairman Daniel Levy pulled the trigger despite Postecoglou ending the club's 17-year wait for a trophy by winning the Europa League. And the Australian said, when I reflect on my time as manager, my overriding emotion is one of pride. The opportunity to lead one of England's historic football clubs and bring back the glory it deserves will live with me for a lifetime. Also, this page from the Daily Express today, the last post for Big Ange at Spurs. The writing was on the wall long before Bilbao. Ange Postecoglou knew in his heart of hearts that he was going to be sacked no matter the outcome of last month's Europa League final. Now, for the record, and they have published here all of Ange Postecoglou's stats at Spurs. He managed in total 101 games for Tottenham. Those are competitive games, by the way. Wins overall 47, draws 15 and defeats 39. We scored 181 goals in those 101 games and we conceded 152. Win percentage in all competitions, 46.5%. Now, in Premier League competition, Ange Postecoglou managed Spurs for 76 games, winning 31, drawing 11 and losing 34, scoring 138 and conceding 126, and the win percentage rate in the Premier League, 40.8%. Now for a report from the Daily Telegraph. On the front of their sports supplement, it's got this picture here of Ange Postecoglou with his Europa League medal round his neck. And it says here, Spurs fury at Postecoglou axe. Levy sacked head coach just 2 weeks after Europa win. Sources claim that players are angry, with some wanting to leave. Daniel Levy is facing the threat of a Tottenham Hotspur player revolt after brutally sacking head coach Ange Postecoglou 2 weeks after winning the Europa League. Also in this report from the Daily Telegraph, it states it is understood that Chief Football Officer Scott Munn, who is one of Postecoglou's biggest supporters inside Spurs, has also been sacked. It is the departure of Postecoglou that has angered a number of Tottenham Hotspur players, with sources claiming that some want to leave the football club and that the Australian's successor will face a huge task to repair the dressing room damage. There's also this double-page spread published by the Daily Telegraph, and this picture here is right after Spurs won the Europa League in Bilbao against Manchester United. Daniel Levy, of course, has a huge smile on his face. There is no eye contact between Ange Postecoglou and Daniel Levy at this point. It says here, manager one back the fans, but not Levy. Postecoglou restored pride at Spurs with Europa win, yet chairman's maddening cycle of hiring and firing resumes. This report also states back in September 2023, Daniel Levy told fans at a fans forum, we have got our Tottenham back. And then Daniel Levy was riding on the coattails of Postecoglou's brilliant start to life at Spurs, during which the team went unbeaten in his first 10 games as head coach. But Postecoglou's aim was not to deliver Levy's Tottenham back to supporters. He wanted to change the club, the narrative, and give the fans something to be truly proud of. And he's got here some stats. Trophies won by Tottenham in the Premier League era. Ange Postecoglou 1, Ramos 1, Graham 1. They also give some stats here. Best win percentage in Premier League era. Tim Sherwood 59.1%. Antonio Conte 57.1%. Mauricio Pochettino 55.9%. AVB 53.7%, Nuno Espirito Santo 50%, Harry Redknapp 49.3%, Jose Mourinho 45.6%, Martin Jol 41.6%, and Ange Postecoglou 40.6%. Now for a report from the Daily Mirror, and on their back page it's got this picture here of Ange Postecoglou waving, and it says, goodbye mate. Spurs axe Aussie Ange and are ready to grab Frank if they pay £10 million. Ange Postecoglou was sacked last night and Tottenham will have to pay £10 million to get their number one target, Thomas Frank. It says here, Tottenham pull the trigger. Now for a double page spread from the Daily Mirror today, and it says here, Tottenham, Postecoglou sacked just 16 days after trophy glory. Ange Postecoglou gave the fans a new belief. And then it says dead man walking, and then the walking is actually crossed out, so it actually says dead man winning. Postecoglou ended Tottenham's bleak 17-year trophy drought, but he was doomed long before the Europa League final kicked off in Bilbao. And it says here, getting sacked after winning a trophy is not without precedent. We all know that, but it is lousy precedent, and the decision to sack Ange Postecoglou is a lousy decision. Now, an interesting paragraph here from today's Daily Mirror. It says perhaps you would have to argue that to keep him, it would have been a purely emotional decision born out of the night in Bilbao. Well, guess what? Football is an emotional game. Well, at least it used to be before finishing fifth became some sort of goal. And whether you agree with his dismissal or not, Big Ange will certainly be missed. Now for a report from the Sun newspaper, and on their back page, it just has this picture of Postecoglou holding the Europa League trophy, and it says Spurs trophy winner sacked, and it says, mate, Levy axes Ange 16 days on from Bilbao, Frank lined up after big Aussie's dream. Ange Postecoglou was finally sacked by Tottenham Hotspur last night, with Thomas Frank the front runner to take over. Now, the Sun have also published this double-page spread, and it says here, last post as hero boss plays out, leaving Big Ange instead. Whether it's right or wrong, he's gone after second season. So Daniel Levy did kill off his main character in second season finals of the Ange Postecoglou Spurs show. Postecoglou himself warned it could be the case that he could still be sacked just a day after Spurs' Europa League winning parade. Now let's take a look at the back page of the Daily Star, and it says here, Levy pulls plug on Postecoglou, season 3 cancelled. It's got this picture here of Ange Postecoglou, also a picture of Tottenham Hotspur target Thomas Frank, and it says the Ange show is over as Spurs look to bank Frank. Ange Postecoglou was axed last night as Spurs face having to pay £10 million to net their number one target, Thomas Frank. In another day of high drama at Spurs, Chairman Daniel Levy pulled the trigger on Postecoglou, even though he was the first Tottenham boss in 17 years to lift silverware. Now, staying with the Daily Star, there's this double-page spread as well, and this great picture here of Ange Postecoglou holding the Europa League trophy, and it says here, Euro glory, not enough to save Big Ange's job. And then it says here, fickle finger of Levy points way. Big Ange has paid a big price for providing Tottenham with one of their biggest moments. Want to know how fickle football is in 2025? Then take a look at the recent life of Ange Postecoglou. Now let's take a look at the back page of the Daily Mail, and it says here, Ange is axed as Spurs target Frank. Levy risks fans' fury after Europa glory. Club talking to Brentford boss. Tottenham yesterday sacked Ange Postecoglou on the second anniversary of his appointment and 16 days after he led the club to a first European trophy in 41 years. And also a double-page spread from the Daily Mail today, and it's got this picture yet again of Daniel Levy and Postecoglou after Spurs won the Europa League final in Bilbao. It says here, all the joy from a magic night in Bilbao is lost as Spurs pluck defeat from the jaws of victory. And it says here, so we will never know now if Ange Postecoglou was right about the theory that his third season at Tottenham Hotspur, like the third season of a great television series, would have been better than his second. And also, I'm now going to read this report out from former Premier League player and now TV and radio pundit Chris Sutton. He said that Daniel Levy has made a ridiculous decision. So Chris Sutton has come out and said that club appoints manager after years of being so allergic to success that there is a special word for their devotion to disappointment. Manager wins club their first trophy since 2008 to stop them being so Spursy. Club sacks manager. Make it make sense. I can't. Daniel Levy took his sweet time, and even then he came to the ridiculous conclusion that Tottenham are better off without Ange Postecoglou. Sutton then goes on to say that it is their loss. Tottenham fans have been craving an entertaining brand of football after being bored to tears for too many seasons. Postecoglou delivered that, certainly in his first season. He lost Harry Kane, but still led them to fifth in the Premier League, and then he got them into the Europa League. Last season was a struggle, but then he won them that European competition, even though he had to deal with being vilified as badly as the late Graham Taylor, who was once branded a turnip. To dare is to do. That is Tottenham's motto. Postecoglou dared and did, but now he is available to win silverware for someone else, and he will, I'm sure of it. His sacking sums up football, really. Don't get me wrong, Thomas Frank is an excellent, elite, experienced manager. He has turned Brentford into a stable Premier League club. Daniel Levy now wants Frank to turn Tottenham into a consistent Champions League club, because clearly that is Tottenham's priority. Forget trophies. Levy wants to top the balance sheet table, and yet I wonder what those fans who were in Bilbao will remember when they are old and grey and boring the grandkids by telling them the same old story for the 1000th time. Will it be the year that Spurs finish 4th? Nah. It will be the glorious night that they beat Manchester United to become the winners of Europe. Postecoglou can leave, his head held high. He stuck 2 fingers up at the critics who mocked him for saying that he would win a trophy in his second season. Now we will never know what could have happened in season 3. All thanks to Daniel Levy, who did not even have the courage to add a quote to the club statement confirming Postecoglou's sacking, which he at least had the courtesy to do when he got rid of Antonio Conte and Jose Mourinho. So those are all of the reports from England, and the Australian media have actually blasted Tottenham's decision to sack Ange Postecoglou as a big mistake. The Sydney Morning Herald branded Chairman Daniel Levy's decision cold-hearted and one that the club will almost certainly live to regret, regardless of whether his replacement is a success or not. They've also stated there appears to be no hope that whoever does come in next will be able to get what satisfies Chairman Daniel Levy, who seems to be prioritising high finishes on the Premier League table than the idea of actually winning things. Now, former Australia player Robbie Slater branded Postecoglou's firing as a big mistake and said that Daniel Levy has let himself in a really difficult position. He is already not liked by a number of Spurs fans, and now he's taken a massive gamble here. Ange Postecoglou had promised season 3 is always better than season 2. Good luck with that, Spurs. Australian national broadcaster ABC said in the cold light of day Postecoglou was always going to be hard-pressed to keep his job. It was also questioned why Spurs would get rid of a man who delivered what he said he would, winning a trophy in his second season in charge. ABC also said he has shown himself to be a winner in every league he has had an extended run in: Scotland, Australia, Japan, and now England. And sacking Postecoglou fits in with Tottenham's recent reputation of throwing away promising situations and making life uncomfortable for its supporters. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you listen to this on an audio platform, please do that follow button and leave a review if you can. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you on the next one. Come on, you Spurs.